In our lesson on taking measurements, I have already drawn your attention to the difference in design of garments with one-piece and cut-off cups. These differences correlate closely to how measurements are taken and accordingly to how the pattern is constructed to an individual size. We've already had classes where we discussed in detail how to make a pattern of a bustier with cut-off cups from scratch. So this time, I will not repeat again this information. My goal is to teach you how to adjust the pattern we have made together in this course. Adjusting patterns made by professionals has several advantages compared to designing patterns from scratch. Namely, 1. You will save time. Adjusting a pattern takes 10 to 15 minutes, while designing it from scratch will keep you busy no less than 3 hours. 2. When adjusting an already made pattern, it is easier to notice if some measurements have been taken inaccurately. Those inaccuracies are hard to notice right off the reel when you are designing a pattern from scratch. And you will have to make time and exert yourself to troubleshoot them later on. 3. Existing patterns are fully elaborated for the given style. All the details are paired, all the markings are in place, all the seam allowances are added. On the contrary, once you've designed a pattern from scratch, you have to do the styling, check if all the raw edges match, mark up the pattern, and add all the required seam allowances. In short, to achieve immediate results, you should learn how to adjust professionally designed patterns bundled with sewing course materials. You should take to designing a pattern from scratch only if the case is unusual or if the style is new and no one has designed a pattern for it yet. Later, in special lessons, I will show you the principle of multiplication of patterns for the garment with a cut-off cup. But I have to make it clear right away that this information is not for beginners. These classes are for those experienced in sewing. If you are a beginner or don't feel like going deep into the subtleties of design, I suggest that you stick with already existing patterns. Choosing a custom pattern size and adjusting the pattern to custom measurements, this is what we'll discuss in our next class. And now I will give you a general overview of the pattern files that you get for printing. For illustrative purposes, I've printed out a 75B pattern that matches the size of my dress form for which I will sew this garment. First of all, consider that all the details of this pattern contain seam allowances, which you can change at your own discretion. To do this, you will have to add your own allowances to the main lines of the pattern before cutting, i.e., before cutting paper details of the pattern. Also, on the details of the pattern, I've marked the position of the drawstring for underwires, and it will be a small hint for you not to get confused during joining of the details and properly position the drawstring on the body of the corset. The same applies to the cup details, which also bear the markings of either drawstring position or finishing processing. In addition, you are offered a version of the pattern if you add additional strengthening of the cup with foam. Here, the seam allowances are removed so that the details of the cup can join the edges directly. Also, on the last sheet of the pattern, there is a detail of the lining. If you need to add a push-up pad, 2 details of the lining must be cut out. One of them is cut out completely, and another one is cut along the drawn line, and the push-up pad will be inserted into the resulting pocket. In addition, you will get an image of a proper underwire. This image will help you choose a proper underwire for this cup size. This course features a new technique of sewing a bustier. For this technique, in addition to the patterns that you should print out on regular printer paper, you will need to print out a second file of the patterns on newsprint, which is also available at the stationery and office supply stores, and which is intended for various kinds of needlework. This file contains the same pattern details, but both in direct and mirrored representation, i.e., for both the right and left halves of the garment. On these patterns, you will also see all the major digital tags marking their joining, the direction of the lengthwise grain, the position of the underwire drawstrings, and the underbust line. We will use these patterns for cutting as well as for sewing the details together. Each sheet of the pattern will be used during the tailoring process. This technique will help us achieve the most accurate joining of the details, avoid deformation and other defects that occur when sewing thin elastic mesh. I suggest that you print out the patterns in the following order. First, print the pattern file intended for ordinary paper. Measure the centimeter grid and make sure that the printer settings are correct. Proceed to printing the file on the newsprint. You should adjust the pattern using the details printed on regular paper. Once the entire adjustment is complete, you will have to transfer all the changes to the pattern on the newsprint.